Welcome to the Love Letters to Our Bodies podcast. I'm your host, Gwendolyn Mitchell, founder and CEO of Moyo Institute and lifelong spiritual seeker and energy worker. Here for thoughtful conversations about health, healing, and happiness by, for, and about Black and African American women. Disclaimer, the Love Letters to Our Bodies podcast does not provide medical advice. The opinions, experiences, and insights shared are for informational purposes only. Nothing shared in this podcast is intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician or other healthcare provider. Don't disregard or delay seeking it because of what you've heard on this podcast. Thank you. Are you ready? Let's dive in. Welcome to Love Letters to Our Bodies. I'm Gwen Mitchell, your host. I'm so happy to be joined today by Maggie Burgett. Maggie is a retired staff emerita from Stanford University, where she managed the design and construction of major building projects within the Department of Land, Buildings, and Real Estate. Maggie's deep commitment to wellness has inspired her to study and practice a variety of healing modalities. She is a certified healing touch practitioner and has worked with cancer patients since 2010. She volunteered for many years at Stanford Hospital in cancer supportive care and in infusion centers. Maggie is an active member of Healing Beyond Borders and the San Francisco Bay Area Healing Touch community. Maggie, you'll have to tell us a little bit about Healing Beyond Borders. She trained as a compassion ambassador through the Center for Compassion and Altruism Research and Education, also known as CCARE, at Stanford University. She strives to embody compassion in all aspects of her daily life and healing practice. She has studied and practices mindfulness-based stress reduction, and she hosts a weekly meditation session to support others in cultivating mindfulness. Maggie is a dedicated student of Tai Chi, a holistic wellness practice that focuses on alleviating the physical effects of stress on the body and mind. And Maggie holds a Copper Eagle ranking in Yang style Tai Chi Chuan. Is that the correct pronunciation?
It is.
Beautiful. And currently, Maggie serves on the board of Charlotte Maxwell Clinic, where she provides healing touch sessions to clients, continuing her mission to support healing and wellness in her community. Maggie, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you for inviting me, Gwen. I love to talk about healing touch. It's a wonderful modality, and it's a little strange for people to understand, so I'm happy to have a conversation about it.
Beautiful, beautiful. So you spent over 30 years at Stanford University managing the design and construction of major buildings, laboratories, art spaces, and performance venues. This is a very different kind of work than healing touch. How did you find your way to energy healing?
Well, I've always loved making and building things, so managing projects was a fulfilling career and very structured. It was focused on budgets and schedules and program, but the end result was a space where people work and live and contribute. The healing world is based on intuition and working from the heart. A work colleague, a cancer survivor who participated in a clinical study to evaluate the effectiveness of healing touch on cancer patients, became a healing touch practitioner and invited several of her work colleagues to take the first course, which I did. The first course, I didn't feel energy in that training, but I did start to understand healing energy as I progressed through the program.
And say a little bit more about that.
And so that was in 2009, and I started volunteering in 2010. I think in any energy modality, any healing modality, whether it's traditional Western or integrative medicine, the longer you do it, the more rich it becomes. and it becomes more natural. And it is certainly very rewarding. So being able to work with people on an individual basis gives me great pleasure. Because my volunteer work is free, people, they want to thank me, thank me, thank me, thank me. What they don't realize is I'm thanking them because they're giving me an opportunity to show compassion and to give back to the community.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. So you have been volunteering with Healing Partners at Stanford since 2010, offering healing touch to people in active cancer treatment. And was it just because you worked there, or was there something else that called you to serve in that specific setting?
Well, in 2006, 3 of my work colleagues were diagnosed with breast cancer at the same time. Like within 3 months, 3 of
Wow.
them had breast cancer. And I felt so frustrated and angry and hopeless and decided that I didn't want to feel that way. I wanted to do something to support women with breast cancer. So the first thing I did was participate in the Avon Walk for Breast Cancer, which is full marathon on one day and a half marathon on the second day. So it's 39.2 miles of walking and raising money for breast cancer. And then I started, after my friend invited me to take that first class, I took the second class because to take the second class, you get to volunteer. And then I started volunteering with the Healing Partners program, which is really a lovely program that started in women's health at Stanford. As a clinical study, it was started by 2 nurses who wanted to provide more supportive care to their patients, not just the traditional medical treatments and drugs and needles. They wanted to provide more compassionate care. So they did this. One of them led the clinical study, which then led to Stanford allowing the Healing Partners program to treat patients who were being patients of Stanford Healthcare, or it was Stanford Hospital at the time. And in the original program, a partner was scheduled with a practitioner for 6 months, and you would meet once a week and give that person a healing touch session free of charge. And then it was reduced to 12 weeks because the need was so great. The waiting lists were too long. And then it was reduced again to 8 to 10 weeks. But the beauty of it is it was one-on-one. And, it takes a while, no matter what modality you're using, whether it's Western or Eastern medicine. When you walk into a room with a new person, it's kind of scary. Who is this person? Are they gonna help me get better? But when you can do it on a repeated basis, like when you get a doctor and you establish a relationship, as a practitioner, I can establish a relationship with a client, and over time, and I get to know their bodies. You don't just walk in a room and understand what a person needs, but over a period of time, you get to know their bodies and you get to know their needs and their goals, and it makes for a beautiful relationship.
Wonderful, wonderful. I can see that, just the level of trust actually increasing with time. And in particular, as people begin to feel the effects of the healing touch, what's happening for them in those sessions.
And you learn things as a practitioner one of my most impactful experiences was I had a new client, and we met in a Stanford clinic that was a big, tall building. And when she came in and our sessions were in the evening, she said, "I hate this building. It's overwhelming to me. It's scary to me." And I thought, how brave of her to walk in that door anyway and come up here and meet with somebody she's never met before. And so we were able to develop a relationship and trust. It was a wonderful experience.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful, beautiful.
By the way, 2 of my 3 friends survived cancer and are living fully healthy lives now.
Oh, that's wonderful. Wonderful.
Yeah.
I love that. What I'm actually discovering in the Love Letters to Our Bodies workshops is that cancer is not a death sentence. And, like in the olden days, as we say back in the day, when someone got a cancer diagnosis, it was just for certain that they would die. But many people are actually living and thriving beyond those diagnoses today.
Yeah. It's
And
still a horrible disease.
it is.
And the treatment of it is invasive and difficult on many levels, but you're right. many people survive.
Well, and I think too that it's really in part because there are therapeutic supports like integrative medicine now that help people to heal. And, we always talk about that difference between healing and curing.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that's really wonderful. Many of our listeners may never have heard of healing touch. And in the simplest, most accessible terms, what is it and what does a session actually feel like for the person receiving it?
Glad you asked. Because healing touch, like many energy therapies, is kind of mysterious. What do you mean you're going to put your hands on me and I'm going to feel better, or I might feel better? But in basic terms, healing touch is a relaxing, nurturing energy therapy. It uses gentle touch to assist in balancing the client's physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual well-being, which is, I think, what you were referring to a minute ago. We're not treating the body, we're treating the whole person, physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. Because when you're really sick, all of those are factors. I mean, in your life as a person, all of those are factors. You're not just a physical body. Healing touch works with your energy field to support your natural ability to heal. It's safe for all ages and works in harmony with standard medical care. So we work together. It's classified by the National Institutes of Health as a biofield therapy and nursing intervention and contains a group of standardized, non-invasive techniques that clear, energize, and balance the human and environmental energy field. It's used in a wide variety of settings, including hospitals, clinics, private care, spas, and it provides a sense of calm, wholeness, and healing.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
So you also asked in the email about Reiki and healing touch.
Do you know about Reiki? Have you experienced it? And are they similar or how are they different?
I have experienced Reiki. I'm not a Reiki master. But as part of the training for healing touch, you are required to experience in getting certified 10 different modalities. And so Reiki was one of the modalities. And I have friends who are Reiki masters. So both Reiki and healing touch are complementary biofield therapies. Reiki is an ancient Japanese healing art where the practitioner acts as a conduit for universal life force energy, allowing it to flow where it's needed. You're a Reiki master, aren't you?
I am, in fact.
Yeah. Did I describe that as you understand it?
I love those scientific terms to describe it. The biofield, I love that part.
Yeah. Well, Healing Touch is a more structured program, and it was developed by Janet Menken, a registered nurse. And it uses conscious intent and specific techniques to assess and balance the client's energy fields. We have a bunch of techniques that we use for different reasons, for anxiety or mind chatter or lymphedema or back pain. I should know how many there are, but there are at least 20 different techniques that we use. In a typical session, the client remains fully closed, not like a massage, but lies on a massage table. I place my hands slightly above or on the body if the client is comfortable with touching. The session usually lasts 40 to 60 minutes. It can last a little longer, a little shorter. Sometimes when people are very old or really very ill, a short session is more appropriate. Mm-hmm. Sometimes they just want more. They need more, and it's a little bit of a longer session. And people frequently report feeling deeply relaxed and peaceful during and after the session. Depending on circumstances, the client may lie in his or her bed or be seated in a chair instead of on a massage table. I've performed healing touch in infusion centers where the client is sitting in a chair, and in group sessions where multiple clients may be on massage tables or seated. I also offer remote sessions. And people say, oh my gosh, healing touch is about touching. How can you do a remote session? In a remote session, the practitioner, with permission, enters the client's energetic field and performs various techniques. So, for instance, when we started the session, we sat together for a minute, and I could feel myself joining your energetic field. And with the client, something very similar, where you ask permission And then you reach out to their energetic field and you work through their energetic field. The major advantage of a remote session, in my opinion, is the client can be at home and doesn't have to get in a car or on the bus and go someplace, feel relaxed and comforted, and then have to get back in the car or on the bus and go home.
Well, that's interesting. When I became a Reiki master was back in the 90s, early 90s. As you described and at that time, healing touch, I think, was late 80s. It was also coming into its own around the same time that I studied Reiki. One of the things that we had as sort of a foundational teaching was that you simply offer this as an energetic support for whatever is in the highest good of the patient or the client, basically, without a specific intent to treat a specific illness or disease expression. So that Reiki is intelligence. It's universal intelligent energy, and it would go into the biofield or into the body and determine like what needs to be done. So I think that's one of the differences. It's evolved a lot over the years in terms of people who have created structures around it, and perhaps it's practiced differently today. We had specific hand positions that vary for a basic treatment, and there were a few positions for things like a sciatica, but the person who brought it to the West, Hawaii Takata, was a fairly, how would I describe it in terms of her style of teaching? She really encouraged you to allow your intuition to flourish and develop and to let the Reiki energy guide you. And sometimes people would ask questions about how does the Reiki work? And she would simply say, hands on, Reiki on, hands off, Reiki off. So that simplicity made it really accessible for many of us to enter into this stream of service without feeling like we had to know everything and that we had to be medical professionals, right? So that's one of the differences.
Thank you for describing that. Healing touch also sets the intention for the highest good of the client. And although we do an assessment and we ask the client what their goals are so we can focus on that, we also say the energy goes where the energy flows. And sometimes there's something in that energy field that the client doesn't realize.
Exactly.
And the practitioner may feel it in the energy field or not. But when you get there, you can feel the energy moving there, that it needed to go someplace that nobody realized before. So in that way, I think there is some similarity. There are many similarities, but that's one way there is a similarity.
Yes. And so in Reiki, for instance, one of the things that happens is the hands heat up. And is that the same in healing touch?
It can be, yeah.
Okay, the hands heat up. And basically, in working on a client, I would actually feel what was going on in the body. And sometimes it would come in visions, like images would appear, or sometimes there would be coldness, or, you could feel where energy was blocked through those sorts of things. So, yeah, sounds like we have some similarities.
Some people do see images or colors. I don't, but I do feel in my hands are like, I don't know, they're energy centers. And I don't know if it's true in Reiki, but in healing touch, the practitioner takes very careful time to prepare ahead of the session to make sure we're grounded and centered and that our energy is clear and moving. And then my hands are very sensitive. They have become much more sensitive over time. Sometimes I can't believe this is true, but I have felt a client's heartbeat in a remote session. I could feel the pulsing of the heart. So I know that my energy is aligned with their energy.
Absolutely. And yes, of course, we center and ground. And because we undergo an initiation that opens these energy pathways within in our being, our vessels, we recognize that we're not doing the healing. but we're simply being the vessel through which the healing energy is flowing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's also very helpful. Okay, it sounds like we're doing a lot of the same work, and it is
Yeah.
very, very beautiful. And I'm really, really happy about that. What would you say to someone to help them understand like what energy medicine is, or like what working with the body's energy field is like? I love what you just said about being able to sense, even in remote sessions, what's going on with the client. To help them understand it a little bit more, what would you say?
Okay, I'll give it a crack. I'll take a crack at it.
Okay.
So we know that the body, there are different systems in the body. There's the respiratory system, the circulatory system, the reproductive system.
The Love Letters to Our Bodies podcast is sponsored by Moyo Institute Incorporated, a nonprofit organization offering heart-centered educational experiences, and the Lloyd Symington Foundation, which supports visionary grassroots cancer programs.
And the body also has an energetic system, and it includes your aura or your biofield, and in Healing Touch, your chakras, which are your major energy centers. There are 7 major ones from your root up to the crown of your head, and then there are minor ones in your joints, in your wrists, and your elbows, and your knees. And energy healing restores balance to the energy field. So often when people exhibit illness, it's because their energy is blocked someplace in their body. Or sometimes I'm sure you've experienced, you assess a client and their energy is blocked everywhere. Everything is on stop. Sometimes it's a particular place. Sometimes it's the whole thing. Or their energy field, which is the area around their body, may be hot or cold or tingly or has a hole in it. You'll feel a disruption in that energy field. So the Healing Touch practitioner focuses on clearing the energy field to bring about harmony and balance in the client's energy system. And this supports the body's natural ability to heal. The body is a beautiful machine, and if we get out of the way and let it do what it knows how to do, then there's a better chance that it can heal itself.
Right, yeah.
You know, we use energy in Western medicine in things like x-rays and scans, though that's a form of energy movement. And energy healing assesses the energy of the body through touch.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah. That's really, really great and really important. When I think about the comment you made about sometimes the whole body feels like it's stuck, or like there's the energy, the biofield is really stuck or blocked. What I find is that when people have experienced trauma, a lot of times, and held that trauma inside, that it actually gets stored in the body. And sometimes a person might be having a headache, but really the source of the problem is not the head. It might be something in the gut. It might be something in the heart. It might be something that they're holding on to that they haven't been able to release or to share with anyone. And so that's one of the beauties of working with the energy field, because you don't have to know what it is or what the source is or where it originated. But as you start the work, that begins to release and reveal itself.
That's right. And the different chakras represent different components of the energy, like the root is the physical body and the sacral is the emotional body. And your hands are moving over a person's body. When you get to that energy center and there's a disruption, then you know, oh, this isn't a stomach ache. This is because there's some other trauma going on here. And you're right. I don't need to know what that trauma is. I just need to open up that energy center, get it moving so that the client can move energy in her body and feel better.
Beautiful. So I love that Stanford sort of took this sort of leading edge approach to incorporating energy work with traditional Western medicine. And I know there's been a lot of research these days about energy, working with the biofield. What does research say about healing touch for people in cancer treatment? And are there studies about it? And have they shown any effects on pain, anxiety, quality of life?
Yeah. So, as you know, through other energy modalities, they use a holistic approach to address physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual well-being. There's a lot of research that demonstrates that healing touch is beneficial in calming anxiety, reducing symptoms of depression, decreasing pain, strengthening the immune system, enhancing recovery from surgery, complementing care for neck and back pain, deepening spiritual connection, supporting cancer care, creating a sense of well-being, easing acute and chronic conditions. On the Healing Beyond Borders website, you asked if I would talk a little bit about that. Healing Beyond Borders is the mother organization. There are two, actually, Healing Touch Program and Healing Beyond Borders. I'm certified through Healing Beyond Borders. And it is an international organization that fosters healing, touch, and educates. My certification is through them. And they also do a lot of research. And on their website, which is healingbeyondborders.org, there's a whole page that refers you to articles. If people really want to get in deep and see what the research is, that would be the best way to do it.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you, thank you. So you've sat with women in active cancer treatment for many, many years now. And what do you witness happening in their bodies and spirits during healing touch session?
Well, every client and every session is different. So there isn't a standard response. But typically, women feel a reduction in anxiety. That's the first thing that goes, is they almost always come in anxious, worried, mind chatter. Through the session, they're able to relax and lessen their anxiety. They also have a lessening of pain if they're experiencing pain in their body in some place. And a lightening of spirit. That's one of the things that I love about. I don't know how many times I've ever come out of a doctor's office and felt a lightening of spirit, but I think most clients come out of an energy session feeling lighter, and they express it in that way. I feel lighter. I feel good. I feel rested. I feel calm. Each session is geared toward the client's short-term and long-term goals. So when we first meet, if it's an ongoing relationship, the session is a little bit longer. I ask them to tell me what their short-term and long-term goals are. And the short-term would be today on the table. What do you want to happen? And it may be, I have a headache. I want it to go away. Or I have all this mind chatter. I can't sleep. Can you help with that? Or I have lymphedema. Can you reduce the pain there? Then they have a long-term goal, which is I want to get well, or I want whatever it is. I want to. It's not just for today; it's for a longer period of their lives. So we do an initial intake session that assesses their physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual state, a physical assessment of their body, understanding their goals, and then we determine what techniques to use. And at the end of the session, we ask them of the things that when we understand their goal, we set the intention together to achieve those goals. And then at the end of the session, we check in and say, how does that feel now for you? How's the mind chatter? And what's really interesting and sometimes delightful is some clients know right away, and some people have no idea. They don't know how to express that. But over time, they learn, because I also want them to learn to pay attention to their bodies, to listen to their bodies. And so over time, they learn to be able to evaluate the difference of when they come into the session and when the session is over. And it may not be immediate. It may be through the next few days that they feel something.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful, beautiful. So as a practitioner, what do you feel? What does this work do for you or to you? And then how do you care for yourself after holding that kind of space?
Well, healing touch sessions provide healing for the practitioner as well. You know, the Dalai Lama said, I won't quote him right. It's a quote about compassion and how the best way you can improve your state of being is by offering compassion to others. It's not just it's a circular thing. It's a give and take. It's not just giving. And as I said earlier, in preparing for a session, we center and ground ourselves so we're present and able to provide. The way we describe it is compassion. We have innate harmony. We have healing presence and unconditional love. And so I always take 30 minutes before a session and do a meditation or do Tai Chi to center and ground myself so that I'm prepared and I'm focused on this session. Self-care in whatever form is critical. And it might be meditation. For me, it's time in nature. I exercise every day. And as you know, I've started to study and practice Tai Chi, and it's a big part of my self-care.
So, but on the Tai Chi, it's interesting because there's been a lot of commercials online about Tai Chi walking apps, etc. Yeah. I wanted to know if you use that kind of teaching. Did you work with a teacher? How did you go about starting?
I have a teacher, and I started Tai Chi because I was ill. And the class was described as Qigong for health. And so it started with Qigong, and then the second half of the class was Tai Chi. I have the same teacher, but she focuses, well, we do a Qigong exercise at the start of every class, but then we do the long form, 103 form, Yang style Tai Chi. And I found it really focuses the mind. It's a martial art, but it's focused on health and healing. For me, it's more powerful for me than meditation because it makes me focus and it makes me aware of my body.
Like more grounded in your body.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because I once heard someone describe Qigong as like the mother of Tai Chi. But when you're saying that actually the Tai Chi Chuan that you're studying anyway, it sounds like that may not have been an accurate description. Do you know?
Well, I think Qigong is a form of Tai Chi, but more focused on health.
Okay.
And Tai Chi Chuan is a philosophy and a martial art. But it was also concerned with it. One of the 10 essentials of Tai Chi is the inner body rather than the external body. So with most martial arts where you're actually fighting, you're using your external body. But the Tai Chi, you're using your inner body. And it's focusing on your movements, which are slow and flowing.
Okay, wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you for that clarification. Okay, so you're on the board of the Charlotte Maxwell Clinic, and I just want to give a shout out to Charlotte Maxwell because they are our partner sister. I call them our sister organization in a way. Actually, it's just been amazing to see the work that's going on there and to see the level of commitment that organization has to women who are low income and who are not necessarily able to afford to get these kind of integrative medicine supports on their own. How does Healing Touch fit into that mission, and why is this kind of care health equity issue?
Okay. Well, first, I want to say that Charlotte Maxwell is a wonderful place where women can come and get, I think there may be 17 modalities offered there, all by volunteers and for free. They can also get food and they can get referrals for other issues that may be having. And Charlotte Maxwell treats the whole person for however long they need. Many places, if you're in cancer, you go until you're cleared and then goodbye, have a good life. But when you go to Charlotte Maxwell, and you heard it at the 35th anniversary celebration, if you get cured of cancer and then 5 years later you have a reoccurrence, you've never left Charlotte Maxwell. You don't get to go away. I mean, you can walk away if you want to, but you don't have to. You're always part of the Charlotte Maxwell family. So everybody should have access to integrative care because it complements standard medical care and is part of the whole healing of the body, not just getting rid of that cancer tumor or whatever that that illness is.
Mm-hmm.
Healing touch is non-invasive, and it's gentle, and it's supportive, and addresses the whole person, physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual, not just the physical. I think that's why healing touch is beneficial to clients of Charlotte Maxwell.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Beautiful, beautiful. And yes, I am really just blown away by the level of compassion and commitment and devotion to the clients who come through the process. And the fact that the volunteers, everyone is volunteering, offering their time, their hearts, their care to support the well-being of others. It's really remarkable. So I had the great pleasure of having you as a co-facilitator for one of our Love Letters to Our Bodies workshop not too long ago. And I just am curious about how that experience was for you, and what did it bring up for you or show you, or what was it like for you being with the women sharing their stories of the body in the Love Letters workshop?
It was really fantastic to hear women allowing themselves to flip their stories. So they come in with a certain image and they rethink that. They flip the script. As one of my meditation things says, flip that script to think about it differently. And so they learn to, or are aware that they can celebrate their bodies and affirm their resilience.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, and they really liked the exercise that you led them through during the workshop. They talked about how calming it was, the mind clearing exercise.
Good.
Yeah, so thank you for that.
You're welcome.
So you also completed the applied compassion training at Stanford's CCARE. And has that training shaped or deepened the way you show up for women or your understanding of your service?
Yes. I was really curious. I'm still curious about compassion. It's a big word, but really, what is it? What is compassion, and what's the difference between compassion and sympathy and kindness and empathy? And some people are really compassionate. One of my sisters was just innately compassionate. It's not something she had to learn. And some people need to learn it. I needed to learn it. I think I am innately compassionate, but I have to recognize it and bring it forward. And that's what the CCARE program allowed me to do. And then we need to practice it. It's something that you just don't have in your back pocket. You need to practice it every day and make it part of your life.
Mm-hmm.
So healing touch is compassion. It's about compassion. Compassion is taking action to reduce suffering, recognizing suffering, feeling concern for or connection to someone who's suffering, setting the intention to relieve suffering, and a willingness to respond to those who are suffering. So healing touch does that. It allows me to offer respite to people who are suffering. The CCARE program also emphasized and prioritized self-compassion, which is critical to this work. And I think women in particular have a hard time with self-compassion. We're really good at helping other people, and we feel guilty when we spend time on ourselves. But it taught me, as many people describe it, self-compassion is like the oxygen mask on the airplane. You have to put yours on first, and then you can help somebody else. So in those ways, having done that, it was a year program. It deepened my practice.
I'm just curious, can you recall any specific sort of teaching or exercise or program in that CCARE training?
Well, there are a whole lot. I think one, if I'm understanding your question, an important component is intentional listening for compassion. In fact, I didn't learn this in that program, but one of my favorite acronyms is WAIT, which is why am I talking?
I love that.
And so sometimes when I'm in a position, because I'm one of those people, I'm motivated by action. So I want to get in there and fix something. And that's not what compassion and healing is all about. And so I take a deep breath and I say in my mind, wait. And then I practice intentional listening.
Mm-hmm. I like that. I like that a lot. And I'm glad you use that as an example because, like sometimes when we talk about these programs in sort of broad umbrella terms, still, I always like for the listeners to have some idea of what are we talking about, like behind the curtain, like what does that consist of? And intentional listening, I think, is really quite important. And so much of the way the human mind works is that we're actually, when we're talking to someone or someone is talking to us, we're in our heads formulating what we're going to say.
Yeah.
And we may not, pick up the nuance of what they're saying or the emotions behind what they're saying or their motivation. And so this idea of intentional listening is really quite important, I think.
It is very important, and it is not easy.
Mm-hmm,
It
mm-hmm.
takes a lot of practice.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. In my spiritual practice, we are taught something called the art of listening. And in that process, it is about paying attention to what's happening inside of you when you are listening to someone, so are you rushing to judgment? Are you really hearing, is it bringing up some old memory in yourself? Because there's this sort of this dynamic that's going on that there's an opportunity for healing. There's an opportunity to be present that most often we forget or we're not aware of.
Right. And it can be physical. It can be, I'm getting a terrible stomachache while I'm listening to you because it's triggering something in me. And I have to recognize that and prioritize what I'm hearing from this other person.
Interesting. Okay, so love letters. If you were to write a love letter to your own body as a healer, as a woman who's focused on compassion, as someone who's spent decades in service to others, what would it say?
This is a hard question to answer. I went back and read some of the love letters on your website. It's only hard for me because I'm a woman of few words. And so I have one sentence, and some of those letters are really long and beautiful. They're all beautiful. But I would say, thank you, dear body, for your strength and resilience, for making me pay attention to you and setting me straight when I wander.
Very good. Thank you. Sometimes a few words are more than enough.
Yeah.
So this has really been a wonderful conversation, Maggie. Is there anything else that you would like to share or to say? Is there something that we should have covered and didn't?
No, I don't think so. I'm very grateful that you sent the questions so I could think them through before we got on the line today. And I love your style. I love your interview style because it is a conversation and it's been fun.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being with us.
You're welcome.
That's a wrap. Thank you so much for listening to Love Letters to Our Bodies, conversations on health, healing, and happiness. To find out more about the Love Letters to Our Bodies project, visit our website at moyoinstitute.org. That's MOYO Institute.org. Follow us on social media and subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss an episode. If there are topics you'd like for us to discuss, let us know. Remember, your body is beautiful, girlfriend. Love it.